Hello everyone, Krydax here, and welcome back to our Christmas Eve stream. So, in our last episode we automated automation science, which sounds redundant, but it's not, and we're not running full time, so something's going wrong here. It looks like it's a lack of stone brick, like on the belt. So that seems to be the issue right now. We can probably fix that, maybe. I don't even know if we have enough stone. But we can do this at least to try to fix it. And if that doesn't fix it, well, I don't know what will. Oh, our carriage in. Oh my gosh. What we might want to do is grab more belts and make more underground belts real quick. I need to put that on the list. Make underground belts. Now that we have more iron, that's a bit more affordable. Pipes, I'm good. Inserters, 200. Belts, take them all. And then I'll make some undergrounds. And then I'll make some iron chests. And then small parts, 400 seems good. And then air core inductors, 200 seems like enough for now. Hey Snipe, thanks for the follow. We've got those 5 inventory slots done. Now let's move on to actually doing some researches that matter. So we'll do, we'll just do all the cheap ones. Ash separation, fluid pressurization, kerogen processing. This is a big deal. And we can even make retorters already with steel. And then shale oil can be used to make condensates, light oil, and heavy oil. Until I have oil burners, though, it's kind of meh, but like it's easier to just get rid of the kerogen than anything else, which is what I'm thinking about doing right now. And there's aluminum and tin unlocked. We'll need a lot of these fluid mining drills. Concrete. Refined concrete could be worth... Oh, right, it's expensive. We'll see. We'll see what tile we end up going with. We'll queue up ceramic and engines. Engines let us get pumps, which is nice, because then we can get water to further places. And engines are actually not that hard. They are aluminum, but like it's just a bunch of small parts and some pipes and some aluminum. So it's really not the end of the world. But yeah, anyway, what I was thinking is we could all of the raw coal is interchangeable with kerogen. So I can just use this. How many do we have here? 14. I guess I'll go this way. I can just use this like another belt of raw coal. And then what we'll do is bring it up to there where we're using, and we'll prioritize it. This isn't a forever thing. Kerogen is actually quite useful for getting oil-based stuff later. So this is really just for now until I need the kerogen or something else. And it doesn't really change much. Like, yes, technically it's gonna save me a bunch of raw coal, but raw coal is so cheap and I have a 50 million patch. So it doesn't really matter. This is more just because I don't want to have 5 billion chests of kerogen. Alright. Go up this way. And then... yeah, basically, we just want to come up to here. I don't even know how to... how do you do a priority... with just inserters? This is such a mess. Chayus, I wouldn't worry about it. we mine so much stone that having a few 50,000 Keratin built up versus 0 isn't gonna change that much, because you always need to mine stone, so you're always gonna be getting Keratin. And at some point, there are certain things that are, I think, worth buffering, you know, like ash, for example. You know, we're building up a huge stockpile of that, and that actually will save us some amount of work. I think the Keratin's not as big of a deal. And I could totally be wrong about that. There's room for that, but at least with how I'm thinking about it right now, it's not really necessary. So I probably should just, because this rock hole is not, So what's the way to do this? So we want to, no. Hold on. I'm thinking, I'm cooking. Alright, so if we side load no, let's not side load there. We'll do 3 Keratins going that way, and then I will side load rock hole. So that's prioritizing the inserted Keratin. Then, for this, I guess I could just have the Keratin going. And then we side load. What was this one? I don't know what that is. Oh, that's because we didn't have enough. That's what it was. And Keratin has a higher fuel value than raw coal, so that always works. There's no problem there. So then this one just needs to be side loaded onto this. And now Keratin is kind of prioritized, and now we just need to put it on both sides of the belt. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Okay, that's close enough. Cool. Researches are just flying by here, which is great. We've already got, what did we get done? Go scroll 10 light years to the bottom. We got mining with fluid done, so I need to work on fluid mining drills. Speaking of fluids, we need to work on, how's power, by the way? Power seems to be fine. Though, I don't think I have a great solution for my boilers. So, let me check on that. Oh my gosh. Need a bigger radar zone. Okay, so yeah, what are we doing over here? Because these are not capable of running those boilers at full speed. And these will fill up with ash eventually, but it'll take a while. I mean, that's, you know, 32,000 ash. That doesn't happen that fast. Even if it burns 1 a second, that's still 10 hours, basically. So. Oh my, copper. What's going on here? Our copper patch is already half empty. What in the hootenanny's going on? Alright. Like that. Don't like that one bit. How are the tailing spawns? I haven't built any tailing spawns yet, so that's an answer for your question. They aren't, is the answer. Nope. This one. Alright, and then ash. Alright, there we go. More copper. And I don't really know the best way to do this, but I'll probably sideload that and then have like 3 inserters. Sideloading to there. And that way they're low priority, which is good, because we want to prioritize these other ones that are already mining. So that works. Okay. Dunzo. And now... steel. How's steel looking? Is steel even running still? No, it's not, because we don't have anything. Exhaust pipe. That's a new... it's not called a gas vent anymore. It's called an exhaust pipe. I know this feels like a crime, but I'm just going to vent my coal gas. And we're just going to tailings pond up the old tar. And I don't want to chop 50 trees right now, so we're going to put it up here. Now, the issue with this is that tailings ponds can overflow. And they create basically like radioactive ground. I mean, not radioactive, but you know, polluted. So if it goes over 1 million, it doesn't just stop filling up like a tank. So we're gonna have to make sure we don't get 1 million tar. I don't think that'll happen very easily. Even if that's running constantly, we're 4 hours away from that. So that's not gonna happen super quick, but it could happen. Also, did we not hook up the tar here? There we go. Oh, that one. Oh, that was... what happened there? I don't know what happened. Pipes are not freaking long enough. That's what happened there. Somehow I keep running out of undergrounds. Doesn't matter how many I craft. That's why we need to automate them. That's why you automate things, Crydax. Cool. Okay, so we've automated coke. We have not dealt with coal oxide, but I have dealt with coal gas and tar. Let's automate those underground belts. And then I also am going to ditch all of this because we just have better... we have a better situation going on over here. And what we will do is steal these small parts. The reason I did it with the quick adjustable inserters right there, by the way, is if you place it here and then rotate it with bobs, it's annoying because it like picked up the item. So what you want to do is instead you use the quick adjustable button, and then it won't actually, it's like disabled for now until you finish telling it where it's going to pick up and drop from. So that's something I like about the quick adjustable that I'm excited about using more. Are tasks better in some way than vanilla? Control Alt left mouse button. How is that like a task? What? I have no idea. Like, I understand that that's a thing, but how on earth is that like a task list? That's a completely different type of function. I don't see the overlap there. All right, we're gonna let this build up quite a bit larger. Oh, crap. I don't have enough bolts. Are you talking about the pinning thing? Where it adds pins over here? Because those are not really like tasks, and they take up your entire screen. So I don't like pins. I really didn't enjoy that in Space Age. The more spaceships you pinned, the more the you know, whatever this thing's called, just the tooltip. The more the tooltips like went off the bottom of the screen. That was really, again, it's really janky if the default settings in your game are causing tooltips to go off the screen. And that's how Factorio Space Age is right now, with how pins work. It's like they have all this stuff over here, and I don't know why they put pins in between the map and the tooltip. Tooltip at cursor is not superior, Ragard, because you have to press a button, and I don't want to have to press a button most of the time. And I don't always want the tooltip at the cursor. What I would like, Ragard, since you're here, maybe you can make my dreams come true for Christmas, maybe you can play Santa, is the ability to have the tooltip over on the side, but if you press the hotkey, it pops over to the mouse. So if you've got one that's too big for the side of the screen, you could then press the button to bring it to the mouse. But like, you don't have to press it just to make it occur over anywhere. Like, that, to me, that's the perfect solution. Oh no, so much work to press a button. It is so much work to press a button. It honestly is. Like, you say that like it doesn't matter, but I'm looking at tooltips all the time, and I'm mousing over stuff, and it's nice because you can just keep your eyes locked in the same spot. And I think tooltip on the side of the screen is actually very convenient. I tried the tooltip at mouse. I actually tried it. I gave it a try, and I didn't like it. So I gave it the college try. Now, back to how do we actually get more frickin' stuff into this? I mean, a couple ways. Give myself a little bit more right here. Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why the tooltip at cursor just doesn't work super well. Tooltips are so large that I think most of the time a tooltip at a cursor is worse. It has more downsides than upsides. It certainly has some upsides, but for a game like this, there's a lot of tooltip stuff going on, and especially in a mod pack, there's even more, and I just think having it not covering up half of your screen in a moving position, you know, because based on where your mouse is, and it's like, I don't know, because then it's like you feel like you're, yeah, it's hard to explain why it doesn't, it's just the idea of tooltip at the mouse, but only when you press a button. It just doesn't work for me, because half the time I'm looking for information, I'm like, where is it? Oh right, I have to press a button. And yeah, Rygard, it has been like that for years, but not in base Factorio. Like, I think there were very few scenarios in the game that Wooba sold me that I could make the tooltip go off the screen without modding it. But with Space Age, why do the pins for spaceships and space platforms go right here, so then it shoves tooltips off the bottom of the screen? It is true logistics chest went off the screen. Sorry, you're right. That was always a thing. But other than that, and that felt like a lesser problem. It was still sort of a problem, but a lesser problem. But now with the pins being over here, it's awful. Because pins, you just have 7 platforms, and now your pins are all the way down to here, and then you have like no room for a tooltip. So I don't understand why pins are over there. I don't even think it's enough room for, I think pins should go up here and make a second bar that you could minimize. I mean, that's one of the big things, is just not being able to minimize the pins. Also feels really weird to me. There's just a lot of UI stuff in Space Age that felt really weird to me. Just to be perfectly honest. And I'm not like good weird, like I'm not really understanding why it is this way, because it kind of seems to have a lot of downsides to it type ways. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. All right, back to, we just don't, I'm trying to figure this out while I'm talking, and I'm not finding any solutions, because we need, I was thinking about moving this one tile over and down. Covarex is allergic to collapsible UIs. Well, that could be part of the problem, I guess, because I think for certain scenarios, the ability to collapse a UI is incredibly helpful. And I think the pins menu, like pinning all your spaceships and bases, is one of those situations. Because that's not something you want on your screen 24/7. But it is something you need access to. And having 2 clicks to access it is far better than having to not make pins because you don't want them to take up screen real estate. That's my opinion, because they take up so much screen real estate. I wouldn't pin my bases. I didn't pin my Glaibo base. I didn't pin my other bases because they took up way too much space. And it just feels silly of like, there's no option for people who don't want it to take up screen real estate all the time. There's just literally no options for us. You just don't pin things. So I don't think that's a very good, that's not a very player-friendly attitude, in my opinion. Because it's like, okay, if you're using the tooltip at mouse cursor, then you do have more real estate over here. But even then, you might not want it covered up with pins all the time. I don't know. That feels like a very preference-based thing. Now, we don't have enough iron, but I don't really feel like more iron is the answer right now, because we've got 2 full belts going. I guess one of the belts isn't totally full, but other than that. So I can't really get any more iron. We don't have enough inserters for these things, which is slowing down my small parts production. I think I'm just gonna have to live with it. We'll get faster inserters soon enough. I mean, it's not that long before we get yellow inserters. I mean, it's a while. We need circuits. Never mind. But I don't know what bike shedding means, but yeah, I can imagine that it's a difficult job to get UI stuff going properly. I also just realized we're not feeding wood into these. We got all sorts of issues. I feel like this is dangerous the way I'm doing this. 'Cause this is going to steal all of our... We don't want to steal all of our transport belts. I gotta say, it feels like cheating to have wire this early, but it's nice, and I like it. Let's discuss the horrible 900 pixel border when in map mode. Yeah, I've complained about this too. Just making the entire screen smaller for, like, it's, yeah. I can totally see why it's a thing, you know, but I think at the end of the day, it does feel like it's taking up more screen real estate than it's worth as well. Oh boy, we're gonna run out of logs really fast. We maybe need to beeline it for automated wood production here. Because we're gonna run out of logs. Futile expenditure of time and energy in discussion of marginal technical issues. Yeah, that sounds like Factorio devs. That sounds about right. I mean, that just sounds like Factorio players, but like, obviously people who work on the game are gonna be like, you know, even more into that sort of thing. Heck, that's half my stream. That's what I do as a Factorio player. cut a few more logs here. And then, why am I researching steel axe? I don't remember clicking that. Oh, because I didn't. It's a created by steel plates thing. Okay. Moving on, I do want to rush towards wood processing. So we'll do glass, botany, which already unlocks our native flora thing, which is fun. And then moss, and then trees. Yeah, Rygard, I remember you talking about that. It really, I don't know if it's a being, like if it's because Wooba is not from the US, like I don't know if this is a country thing, but there is something about the UI design of Factorio that does feel very unintuitive in a way that's like, you could argue that it's a good UI, but do people actually feel like it's a good UI? And the answer, I feel like, has traditionally leaned more towards no. And it has seemed like something isn't quite right, you know, with the UI. And it's hard to explain, but yeah. I do feel like there have been tons of improvements made though. I'm kind of just talking like more over the years. That's something I've seen. A lot of things that have had a lot of friction for players, I do think they've improved and changed. I don't think they've improved and changed all of them, but a lot of them for sure. So like that's a thing. Okay, so we need to get wood. What I'm thinking is we're gonna drag a wood belt along here. Maybe. Sure. And then we can get wood there. Oh, this one doesn't get any. So you can do this. And then you get some, but now you're not getting any. I guess I can move this up a tile, move this up a tile. And then, how does that fix things? I don't know. Then I can put that there. Then I can put that there. Wood. Okay. Now I need to handcraft a bunch of underground belts. We won't have an actual UI designer, just artists and programmers. Alright, iron plates. I don't like how far I have to walk for iron plates. I probably should move this over. Wait, this is not the right recipe. What am I doing? I think I'm going to take one inserter's worth of plates to be available, because otherwise it's too much. I don't want to steal too much iron to make undergrounds. So I'll take at most one inserter's worth. And then I don't need the other inserter that I actually had pulling from small parts to make undergrounds. So that helps. That helps a bit. Beautiful. Yes, UI design would get in the way of efficiency. Oh, man. Yeah, Simeon, you play with multiple displays, but 2.0 introduced FPS issues for multi-monitor setups. That's a bummer. I've never tried a multi-monitor setup for Factorio, because I thought it didn't work in the first place. So I wouldn't know much about that, but... Yeah, I mean, at this point, the game is far too locked into what it is to completely overhaul the UI. It would be really hard to do that, I'm sure, for a lot of reasons, both on the back end and the front end. Because the game's already what it is and people are used to it, and, you know, changing things that people are already used to is already a downside. So it has to be really a lot better and that sort of thing. But that being said, you know, I agree that, like, whatever Wooba does next, it would be probably a good idea to hire some more UI testers even. You know, even if it's not actually hiring someone that works there for UI design, but just having more people say like, hey, this feels weird. And I don't know, because it does seem like there's a lot of people who have some UI issues with Factorio. But that being said, I've played a decent amount of factory games, and automation games, and Factorio has one of the best UIs, for sure. So, in some ways, I think Factorio's done things better than everybody else. We are super out of iron, I think. Yeah. Okay, well, the good news is I have a solution. Once I have steel, enough steel, I can make jaw crushers. And once I make some jaw crushers, we can get more iron for free. We're also not getting quite our maximum amount of iron, so it could be worth investing in that. Kind of tricky. Why don't we... Why don't I make one more? And then what we're gonna do is, how do we even do this? We need to supplement all 4 of these with that iron, which I have a lot of mess going on in here. Let's move this over. Let's move that over so these poles aren't in my way. Because what I'd love to do is be able to go in straight to the side. Okay, I know this is crazy, but like 1, 2. Oh, we never left space for this one. 3, 4. Now we're good. Now we're doing spaghetti. now we're spaghetting. We have spagat. Alright. This is gonna come over here. And see, the problem is we don't have splitters, so we're just gonna have to use inserters for all of this. I don't even know how many, but just some number. I don't know, 5? Yeah, how many inserters make a full belt? Let's start with that. About 10 make a lane, so about 20. So 5 for each should be reasonable. So those 5 go there. These 5 go here. And then these 5. Oh yeah, we're cooking. We are cooking. Aquilo soundtracks sound like the factory not growing. Yeah, as far as the bottom row of iron standing still, by the way, Dodo Cooker, is the steel. That's why. Is because steel's not running right now. But yeah, regarding the space age music, it's weird. I thought it was beautiful, but the only one that felt right to me, like video game music, that felt like a good background music for the game I was playing was Gleba. For whatever reason, the rest of them just didn't work for me. I really like them as music. Like if I was just to put on the Space Age soundtrack in the background, beautiful. Beautiful music. I love the music. But for whatever reason, it just didn't work for me from like a video game perspective. And honestly, the bass Factorio sound, like some people are like, oh my god, the Factorio soundtrack is the best thing I've ever heard. I'm not in that camp. It's fine. I'm surprised. I probably will at some point in my previous Pi run and in most of my Factorio gameplay. I have like a bigger playlist playing in the background. Because it's good music. I don't think it works for me forever. Like I can't just listen to the same tracks. The same tracks mixed with silence forever and ever and ever. But, alright, so we've got a little bit more steel going now. And that's per hour. I was like, that doesn't look right. 1440. And for a second I thought it was like a comma instead of a decimal or something, but I'm like, I know this uses decimals. There we go. So 8 iron a second is what we're using up here. There we go. Alright, so let's bring this steel over. I think I'll actually over here. And then I don't really know where to bring it exactly. So how about just over there, roughly? We'll have some long belts. Maybe I'm going too far away from the core of everything before it gets used. But I feel like that produces better results if I leave space between things. Oh, that would be interesting. Change the instruments of the track that's playing. Huh. Yeah, the interrupting the flow of music certainly felt weird. And hot take moment incoming. Like the Jeopardy, you know, daily double sound. Hot take incoming. I actually think the way the music feels getting interrupted is how I feel as a player playing with siloed basses. I think at the end of the day, the siloed basses doesn't totally work for me, and it's that same kind of feeling. It doesn't feel like I'm doing one big thing. You can barely hear me over the steel machines. Are they a little too loud? How do I turn that down again? I feel like it's... What is it? Is it environment? I think it's environment. Like if I turn that off. Yes, okay. What? I can't hear you over the sounds of industry. All right. Environment goes down a little bit. Sorry, I didn't have my speaker volume loud enough, and that means I'm not... Like I wasn't hearing it as super loud. Is that a little bit better? I think that's a little better now. Looking at the bars over there. Because yeah, Pi machines are very noisy. But it's only hitting -20, so I think that's okay. I think Pi needs to do a sound pass. Because like, The sounds are good, it's just they're not all balanced in terms of overall audio levels. So certain machines are just too loud. Anyway, so what are we doing? We're kind of just derping around. Literally Zen Garden vibes. Yeah. Having loud steel making machines is very zen, right? Very zen. Okay, so we got that done. We've got undergrounds automated, which feels good. I actually think we're doing pretty good. We've got wood fueling all of these buildings, so let's take out the other things. Oop, that was wood. Oh, but it's not fueling these. So then we need to bring the wood belt down and around. Boom. It's fine. I have lots of spaghetti. What's a little more? What's a little more spaghetti? A jukebox inside the game would be nice as well. Yeah, like, I think it would be really nice if you could just open it up and say, I want to play the Gleba soundtrack. And it would just play the Gleba soundtrack regardless of what planet you're looking at. You know, like, it would just play the soundtrack like a normal soundtrack. I don't know how else to say that. Alright, let me get rid of this raw coal, because we have a lot. We can probably ditch it by putting it in some of these guys. Maybe? There we go. What about Keragen? Do any of you have Keragen yet? No, they don't. They will. They will eventually. I bet some of these have Keragen. What if it just played the soundtrack of the surface your character is on, regardless of remote view? That would be fine too, but then you get kind of locked in if you just use remote view mainly. So that's the idea of letting the jukebox, you know, let you pick which surface you're listening to. I've never felt like, just in general, I don't even know. I think the idea of planet-specific tracks is cool, but in Factorio, you're going, it's all one big factory. So the idea is like, would you want to hear different music if you were looking at this part of your base versus this part of your base? No, that doesn't make any sense. And I think in the same way, hear me out, I think in the same way, playing different music on different planets doesn't make sense. Because the whole hope is that even though your factory is on different planets, it feels like one big factory, and not these really discrete experiences. Like in a first-person shooter, when you're going through the campaign and you enter a new level that has totally different aesthetic vibes and the music changes, like that's fine because you're playing a different part of the game. But in Factorio, you're always playing the same part of the game, which is building your factory. It's not like. To be fair, though, on the flip side, yes, they are different planets. There is a big transition. You do go there for the first time. I think having the music kind of be locked in when, like, you just land and you're just starting the mechanics and you're solving the puzzle, that's fun. But then, like, in the late game, when you're kind of just doing stuff all over the place on all 5 planets, having the music switch back and forth all of a sudden makes a lot less sense. So it's kind of one of those things that I think makes a lot more sense for, like, the first experience, but not the whole experience. And I'm interested to see if there's a solution for that. Now, what are we going to do with iron oxide? I want to finish this checklist. Let us research the jukebox. I want to say there is a jukebox of some sort. Didn't we see an FFF about it? Am I making this up? I swear. Maybe it's a mod. Maybe the music controls are moddable. So there needs to be a jukebox mod. Has someone made a jukebox mod already? I'm Googling this. I'm pretty sure It doesn't seem like anybody's made the mod yet. But I'm pretty sure we saw an FFF that said it's accessible to mods. So I think we can. In multiplayer? Wait, the music in multiplayer is not on a per player basis? I know so little about Factorio multiplayer. Hey, Mandriod, thanks for the follow. So the iron oxide is fine. Should we do anything about it? Should I just collect it? It does back up eventually. It's not going to back up very quickly with a build this small, but I could smelt it back into iron. It's a tiny amount of iron, but I could smelt it back into iron and bring it down here. I could just put it in more chests and not deal with it. It does get used later for lots of things. Ferrite being, I think, the main one. The main one I remember, at least. So you do end up producing a lot of it, but that's a long way down the road. So we're not seeing that in 5 ever. So for now, probably smelting it back down into iron is fine. Let me pop a foundry over here. And then we'll work on that. I'm still confused on how someone else being in remote view is controlling your music. Because like if you were looking at Fulgora, wouldn't your game be playing Fulgora music? Or I guess I'm just not quite understanding. Like someone else looking at Aquilo shouldn't play Aquilo music on your thing. At least that's what one would think. Maybe that's what's happening, which is weird. Alright, and then what we'll do... Get rid of these. And we'll just put... No, we won't put anything. That'll be fine. The rate here. I mean, it's actually quite fast, but we're never gonna make that much iron oxide, so it's fine. Alright, and then we bring iron over. And then we need to bring it down to there. Uh-oh. Gotta go around the Ash Mountain for now. We're gonna need a new Ash Mountain pretty soon. Alright. Get out of here. Can we go over that? We can. Perfect. Alright, all of that work, and then we can go there. Ooh! We had exactly the right amount of belts. Look at that, 0 belts left. You don't see that every day. You don't see that every day. Everyone... Yeah, that's so weird that multiplayer tracks care about what other people are doing in terms of what music it's playing on your machine. That sounds like a bug more than a feature. And I'm guessing it sounds like Rygard said someone's working on them, so that might actually be something that will get fixed. Alright, so we have completely dealt with iron oxide forever. That's not going to back up. We've got automated science, which is beautiful. We need radars, but we can't make radars till circuits, right? So I don't think it's worth researching. I mean, I might as well research it, I guess. And I'll research gun turrets, and I'll research stone walls, and I'll research repair packs, just to get them all out of the way. And lamps! I can make lamps now, sort of. I can make glass. I haven't started collecting quartz, but we researched it. Power was struggling? Oh no, I'm not paying attention to power. It's the foundries. Yeah. It's the foundries. Okay. Right, we will vastly increase our boiler capabilities here in a moment. So we need a new build that can handle 2 inserters inserting. So we're gonna do something like this, and then this, and then this. And then we can have a belt of ash. These are ash inserters. And then we can handle the proper rate of things. And then that goes out. And we do power along the back. Okay, so that should work. We need water. And that gets our power working again. And then what I'd like to do is get rid of this whole chest issue. I don't know if I should do a separate stockpile here or not. Oh, I need a better gun just to destroy chests faster. How early do I get access to trains? Not for a while. I believe it's green science or late pY1 science. And pY1 science is the next one after what I have now. I think it's green science. Oh. No, it's pY1. Okay. But I think it's green science that gives you something. At least last time I didn't start doing trains until green science. Alright, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna painfully move all of this stuff into other chests. Okay, good. We got it all. Sort of. I need these. Alright. So, now we should be able to delete those. Copy this, flip it, plop it. Pop it, and plop it. Alright. Looks good. What's going on here? This feels very weird. Why don't I make this a little better here? Start with this. Any word about Factorio being brought to Space Age? I believe... I actually don't know about that. I want to say it's not, but I'm not actually sure that it's not. The squiggle is entirely unnecessary. Okay, that's a lot better. Cool. And now we don't have enough fuel. Just like on the belt. Right. So, is this even a full belt? Yes. It starts out full. So now I need another belt of rock coal going over there. I don't know what you missed, man. You tell me. We've just been working on the factory. We got lots of researches done. And now I'm trying to figure out how we get another belt of rock wool down there. Why don't we copy this? And put it over here. And then that'll be a belt of rock hole. I need some more miners. Okay, that's going on the right side. And then that'll get me another belt of rock coal, which I will actually bring over to this side of things. And oh, what happened here? Oh, I know what happened there. My copper. Oh, I can't do that. The fuel for the copper is a lower priority than the fuel for boilers, which is good. The problem is the fuel for boilers is a lower priority than the fuel for everything other than copper right now. So that's the main issue. So when I switch this belt over, and I will do that, that should fix problems for now. How much power can we get out of a belt of rock wool? 60 megawatts? No. 45 megawatts only. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. You're working on K2 2.0, but it will not support space age. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And like, I think I said this in the previous stream. I don't remember which episode it was episodically, but most overhaul mods just don't make sense to work with space age. I feel like a lot of people really want it to. And I think people who really want it to are just having a knee-jerk reaction of like, well, the base game is now space age, so overhaul mods should work with it. But I don't think people are fully thinking through the fact that space age is an overhaul mod. It completely changes the game, and overhaul mods that were made for Factorio 1.1 don't make sense to mix with the overhaul that is space age. It did work with space exploration, but space exploration is very different than space age in quite a few significant ways. And those were two mods that, you know, if Factorio 2 had been made now, it probably would be made to be compatible, you know, but like those two are both a lot older, and so they both did a little bit to make each other compatible with each other. I think more on the Factorio becoming compatible end than space exploration becoming compatible, but that's a different topic. But that being said, I just think space age is a total overhaul mod, and really none of the overhaul mods are going to work with it. And I don't know if they even should try. Even if they could, kind of back to the Jeff Goldblum question, you know, the scientists were so busy asking if they could, they didn't stop to ask if they should. And I think in most cases the answer is shouldn't, because it's just a completely different game, and the balance is all different, and the goals are different, and the design direction is different. So there's just so much about space age that I don't think works with what overhaul mods are going for. Yeah, the combat in Factorio was pretty fun. They did fun stuff with like having like the bullets, and you can get this mod for space age. And I actually, if I play space age again, I'm sure I will someday, I will use this mod because it's really cool. It's I'm trying to remember, it's like bullet scatter or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but basically it turns bullets into actual like projectiles that travel and hit stuff, and sometimes they miss and will hit trees or rocks, and it just looks way cooler because there are like tracer rounds in the bullets. TLDR, SA fractured the game in half. We are now the Shattered Planet. We're cosplaying as a community, the Shattered Planet. No, I don't think it's quite that bad. But I do think Space Age is best seen as an overhaul or as a new game, and not just a new version of Factorio that all the mods should update to. Aguanton, it's kind of obvious from that question you just got here and didn't hear what I said 5 minutes ago. Not your fault, but it is kind of funny. Because I was just talking about that. And the short answer is no. Yeah, Dodo Cooker, that's one where I actually don't know if I agree. I think it's pretty safe to make... Like, that's just... In all the games I've ever played, when a DLC comes out, right at the very beginning, sometimes, you know, there's a decent number of people who don't have the DLCs or whatever, but often mods will require DLCs, because often it allows you to do more with modding, and that's pretty normal, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I don't think mod makers should feel obligated to make their mod work without Space Age. If they're making a new mod these days, I think that's just how games work often when DLCs come out that have new features. So it's kind of like, yeah, that is unfortunate for people who don't buy the DLC, but like, if you want to have the cool mods of the game that needs the DLC features, and mod makers are going to want to use those DLC features to make their mods, and so it's totally normal that most mods will require Space Age. You know, like there are going to be people who make an overhaul mod that require the stacking mechanic. Even if they're not using the Space Age planet mechanic, they want to use the belt stacking mechanic, and so they're going to require that you have, you know, the Space Age DLC, because if you don't, then you're not going to have the correct experience of the mod, that sort of thing. So, like, I think it's okay that mod makers do that. I don't think they should be made to feel bad. We're like, oh, we can't play your mod without buying the DLC. I think it's fine. Obviously, it's a choice as a mod maker that you know some people won't be able to play your mod if you require Space Age. But I don't think you should feel like that's not an option. Like, you are free to choose as a mod maker if you want to make a mod that requires a DLC or not. Yeah, the elevated rails, the quality, all of it. If you're making, here's my tip. Not that anyone's listening who's making an overhaul mod, but if you are making an overhaul mod, don't try, the more you try to make it work with everything, the more terrible you make the balance of your game's experience, or your mod's experience. So pick which things are gonna be there, and pick which things aren't. Like, quality is not something that should be an option for your players, because with quality versus without quality is a completely different experience. So decide if you either want it in your mod or you don't, and then design the mod around that, right? And it's the same thing with, I think it's pretty similar with belt stacking. There are ways you could add belt stacking where it wouldn't totally change the experience, but it's a pretty big change, and if you're balancing for belt stacking and then people play without it, that's going to be totally different, right? So just in general, I'm always a proponent of more options as a player, but as a mod maker, you actually want to be a proponent of less options. So you want to find a way to find the options that don't actually change the core gameplay experience, but change the more stuff on the frills. So, like, you know, things that make things slightly easier or slightly harder, but it's not going to actually change the whole experience. Those are the options you want to give to players as much as you can. And then the options you don't want to give to players are going to be the options that will actually make it a completely different game, which would be something like quality. Granted, maybe you don't care. Maybe the intended experience is that you want the player to be able to customize their mod experience, and that's what you're going for, in which case having those options might be fine, but you do that at the cost of being able to control some of the balance of the experience. So that's a really, it's kind of that, like, you know, there's so many of these memes out there, but it's like, you know, when you're like going to college, it's like sleep, good grades, or social life, and it's like pick two. You know, and it's like, okay, crap. And it's kind of like that with making mods, you know, it's like, okay, giving your players the options they want, in crafting a well-designed experience, and you know, some other third thing, and you only get 2 of them. So I don't know. Pick 2. 2? You guys got 2? Yeah, it does depend on your college and major. Sometimes you only get one to 1.5 of those. That's funny. All right, I'm chopping logs because we need so many logs for our science, and I maybe made the poor decision to put all of our assemblers burning wood, and so here we are. Yeah, Pi supports quality. I mean, I love that Pi is actually very allowant. Allowant is not a word, but I don't know the word that means the same thing that allowant would mean if it was a word. They allow a lot of things, and I like that. I don't know if they should allow quality at all. I mean, at the same time, though, it's like, look, if people want to play with quality, they can. It's just going to be a completely different game. Permissive, yeah, I guess that's a good word. Yeah, they very much say the game will be jacked all the heck if you install quality. Hey, 1,000 science packs at 7 hours. Beautiful. Yeah, and that's the thing. If quality was more moddable, I think Pi would have slowly introduced things piece by piece. But the problem is you can't change the recipes for higher quality things. So it's a fundamentally different experience to say you can make better versions of something if you just have more of the same ingredients. Whereas pYanodon's doesn't do that. What they do is they say, like, let's look at Glassworks, for example. So what they say is you can make tier 2 Glassworks once you have all these new complicated materials, and you're gonna be spending a lot more resources on one of these buildings. And that's how they want a higher quality Glassworks to be, right? So if you just replace the idea with now you can just make an uncommon Glassworks, it's a completely different experience, right? And so quality is doing such a different thing, and there's no way to make quality require a different recipe for higher qualities. And there's no way to make it so that an item doesn't have quality. If you have quality, everything has quality. And I just think that's kind of a sad reality. Hey, Merry Christmas, Simon. All right, we're gonna go to 300 logs and then we're gonna be done for now. Because I think we're pretty close to being able to farm some wood, but there's still a few steps because I think we need moss for the trees. And you know what I should have been doing though is chopping a forest that was more in my way. Like, isn't there one over here? No, I guess there's not. Okay. This is a good forest to chop, actually. Let's finish up this little stand of trees. Have I made an expedition of all the modules available? No, I have not. Am I feeling relaxed after pruning my Zen garden? Yeah, this is nice. You know, sometimes just chopping trees and getting on a soapbox about various principles of game design, you know, feels good. All right, so we've got a bit more wood now. That should keep science going for a minute. And we've got a bit more steel, which is... What is... Oh, my underground over here is backwards. Don't know how that happened. So we've got some steel here. I should probably put some of that in a chest. And then... What else? So... We want trees. We want to pave the world. Get trees going. So let's look real quick at that chain. So we need the tree seedlings. This is an F&E, I think. And we get the tree seedlings in a botanical nursery, which needs glass. So glass is required for the buildings and steel for the fluid mining drill that goes in the nursery. So we're gonna need glass, we're gonna need moss, and moss needs muddy sludge and CO2. CO2 we can just make from coke, easy peasy, in a high pressure furnace. Muddy sludge we can make from water, because soil is also from water. So we need washers for that though, and we have everything we need for washers. We have, oh, we need aluminum as well. So we need aluminum and glass. And the tree seeds, we're good to go on. Okay, so we need aluminum and glass before I can make the buildings I need to make trees. Got it. So those are the next, those are gonna go on the to-do list. Aluminium and glass. I don't know why I did aluminium, because that's the wrong spelling, but I'm sure some of you will be happy about it. All right, sweet. Seems like a decent time to end the episode. And yeah, J7J, it's a very long conversation that a lot of people have different opinions about. If you're in the Discord, hit me up there and we can chat a little bit more about content creation stuff, because I do find those to be interesting conversations. But the short answer is be yourself. And to anyone watching, if you're interested in making content, only make content if you're doing it because you want to make the content. If you want to have a bunch of fans, or you want to, basically, if your measure of success relies on external factors that will not be in your control, not to be rude, but you probably will not succeed, because that's just how it works. That's how it works for everybody. And like it takes a combination of luck, skill, timing, and a bunch of other factors that are outside of your control to actually succeed in the world of content creation. And so if your goals have anything to do with like external success, that's fine. Just know that there's a low chance it ends up working. And that's true of a lot of endeavors in life. The whole idea of like, you know, you can be whatever you want to be if you just work hard enough, I don't, that is mostly BS. And it's definitely not true for content creation. There are people that have worked their asses off and they get no views because of, again, all these external factors that are not their fault and they're outside of their control. There are a lot of things that are in your control that you can try to do differently, but then you start living for this algorithm and you're not actually doing it because you want to do it, and that gets into whole other issues. So I'll probably call that the end of my soapbox for that, since we're wrapping up the episode here, but I do find it an interesting topic, so hit me up in the comments if anyone wants to talk more about it. But yeah, so I think we're going to be done for now. We need glass, which will come from this quartz up here. Ooh, it's a nice big patch. There's 24 million and I can't even see the rest of it. And then aluminum's right here, and that won't be too bad. I think you can just direct smelt aluminum. Glass is a little bit trickier, but aluminum, yeah, we can just direct smelt it. It's 10 to 1, so it's a terrible ratio to start with, but we can just throw it in stone furnaces, and we will. So that's nice. So yeah, we'll do those in the coming episodes, but for those of you from future YouTube recording land, as always, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next episode.